Hello to everybody. Voila for joining us for the first event of a new program we are launching together with our partner. The name of the program is Study in France, Work in Serbia. It's a new program we are launching today dedicated on the gaming industry opportunity. What we want to do basically is to promote our study in France. We want you guys to study in Serbia. That's great. The quality is amazing here. But we really think that it could be also very helpful for you if you can go for 1 year abroad at the end of the study for a kind of specialization. To go to France will be great for us. And we are working with a lot of pleasure with Tempus Foundation also to promote the Erasmus program. Maria, the director of Tempus Foundation, will arrive soon for sure. We also would like to promote our scholarship through that. We have dedicated scholarship at the French Embassy, French Institut. Vesna behind, she's covering this topic, and we are at your disposal to answer the question you may need. So of course we want to promote study abroad, mainly in France, but we also would like to create the process to make you guys and ladies be able to go back to Serbia to work in your country for the future of your country, and that means job. Without job, you don't come back. Hello, Maria. So this is the very important partner I was talking about, Tempus Foundation. And so this program is nothing without the companies, because with the companies we can have like students in France to study for sure, but then with the companies we have a job opportunity for you to come back to Serbia. So it's crucial for us to develop this program with the company. We're starting now with Ubisoft, and we are very pleased about that. Before giving the floor to Milica, who will moderate the event, I really would like to thank you for being. Okay, I will speak louder. I don't know. Wow. Good, thank you. So for being there, because I was a student, and as I told you, I was never able to go to study at the university on Friday because there were too many parties on Thursday. So congrats, plus the weather, so double congrats. Just thank you very much also for our partner, for the speaker who have accepted to come. I will start by the lady. Thank you to Milica from Ubisoft for accepting this crucial role of moderation, and also stand for Ubisoft for sure. Thank you to Yeli. We will work for this thematic event and the next one together. It's very good to have AFIA on board. You know that we're pleased, and it's very crucial to tackle this topic of women empowerment. Then thank you to Relia, of course, for the Serbian Gaming Association for joining us. You're lucky guys to have an association there that help you to promote the job opportunity in gaming. And as a cherry on the cake, a good cherry, I will thank Emmanuel from Plein Image. Plein Image is one of the most important European ecosystem in creative industry that include, of course, gaming industry. And Emmanuel will also have the pleasure to present you, brief you on the opportunity of study in France in the field of gaming industry. And now I will just leave the floor to Milica. Thank you very much, and enjoy the moment.
Thank you very much for this introduction, and thank you to all of you who joined us this morning. I hope you're all well caffeinated and we have a good discussion ahead of us. First of all, I want to introduce myself. I will be a moderator for this discussion today. My name is Milica, and I'm a producer in video games. I worked in video game industry for the last 10 years, and I worked in different sized companies, in different sized teams. I worked in different roles so far, and I've seen a lot of the industry from the inside, if you may. So at the moment I work as an associate producer in Ubisoft. Ubisoft is a French company. It's a really big one, and it employs around 20,000 people across the globe, and it's the first AAA company that opened its doors in Serbia. So Ubisoft recognized the talent that we have here, recognized that it's important to grow it locally and to invest in it. So I really hope more companies will come and open the opportunities here. Today we have a really important discussion, and we're going to talk about the job opportunities in game development industry in Serbia, and how to get in the industry, how to grow the talent here, and how to open the possibility of study and grow expertise in France and bring it back to Serbia. Before we dive into the introductions, I just wanted to give word to Nicola to say a few words before we start.
Test. Okay, it's working great. Dobro jutro. Hello, bonjour. I'm very happy to be here today. Just to introduce myself, I'm Nicolas from the French Tech Organization. I represent the French Tech Organization in Serbia. I really like the topic of this, let's say, meeting we have today, Study in France, Work in Serbia. The French Tech, for people who are not aware what it is the organization that represents startup investors and companies, all of the actors of the French, let's say, technological and innovation community. As a kind of foreign organization in Serbia, you could expect us to try to take the best developers, the best designers, the best people you have in the industry, or the best students, just to bring them in France, and because that's the best maybe for the French companies. But that's not our philosophy. That's really not what we want to do. Our goal is really to be a bridge between Serbia and France. I'm personally French, and also I have the Serbian nationality, so let's call that, let's say, double agent if you want, but I really want to do the best that is possible for both countries. And I think the best that is possible is, of course, for you, the next generation, to come to France, to see what are the opportunities in terms of universities, but also when tomorrow maybe you will create your own companies, to think about France as a partner that can help you in terms of a market, because French is a big market, but also think about France as a potential place where you can grow your company, so you can have French investors and French advisors to make Serbia like a real, let's say, country in the gaming industry. Recently, we saw, of course, the very famous success stories of Nordeus. That's great. They did a $3 million plus exit, and I really hope it's the very beginning of the, let's say, success stories that we can have in Serbia. So, just a few words about the French Tech. Today, we are about 30 different members, 30 different companies. Some of them might be in the gaming industry, in the finance, in the startups. We also really try to bring VCs, so investors, to invest into the Serbian ecosystem. So if you have any question, if at any point you want to, I don't know, study in France, if you want French investors in your companies, if you want internship, I think we are really eager to work in that direction in the future. So, thank you for being here, and I hope you will enjoy this little debate.
Thank you. Great. So we have this amazing group of people with incredible backgrounds and a lot of knowledge to share. So maybe let's start with the introductions first, if you may.
Okay. Ladies first?
No. However you want to go.
Go. Okay, I'm Emmanuel Delamar. I'm director of Planimage. I'm very pleased to be there for the first time in Serbia. So I discovered this wonderful sunny country today. So Planimage is one of the main European hubs dedicated to creative industries, It's a former factory that we transform in a place where companies, startups can develop in audiovisual sector, the game sector, not only video games, we also have board games, music, communication, AR, VR. Today we host 150 companies on our site. We have an incubator in which we have 50 projects. So in the incubator, it's people that want to create their own company, the startup, and we have a dedicated program for people that want to create their video game studio. So it's a 6-month program and 1 year hosting for free. It's financed by the regional government of northern France. So I don't know if you also we are located in northern France in Lille. I don't know if you know where it is, but it's 1 hour from Paris, 40 minutes from Brussels, and 1 hour and 15 minutes from London. So we thought we are in the heart of Europe. So we have easy access also to the Paris airport, so it's 45 minutes. So a good place to work. We host also 3 different schools on our site in Plein Image, but in the Lille region and in the north region of France, we have one of the best schools for video game development. So we have Rubica with for the video game. Rubica is maybe the first one in Europe in the European rankings. For VFX, we also have ArtFX. That is #1 worldwide for VFX and SFX. Because, okay, we'll talk about the gaming industry, but today we have a wider industry in which we can have also animation movies, feature movies, VFX and SFX, and all the real-time 3D modeling is changing the game in all this entertainment industry. So we know how to make people work together, so entrepreneurs, students, and also researchers, because we have 2 labs from the Lille University in our site. So we are almost 1,080 people living, working, researching, enjoying and partying, because we had a lot of party too, at Plein Image. So we have a discussion explaining what we do more precisely just afterwards.
Hi everyone, my name is Jelisaveta. I'm 28 years old and I love board games, horse riding, and I have 3 additional passions. First, I'm very passionate about how businesses are developing, how they become innovative, and how they actually impact our economic development. And this passion I satisfied through my PhD thesis, so I'm PhD candidate at FAFA faculty. Then also I'm passionate about and very dedicated to women economic empowerment through innovation and technology, and also women equal involvement in creating digital future. And that is something what we do in AFA, where I am head of corporate partnership. And also, I'm very passionate about knowledge sharing and to actually inspire people and to interest people to something they don't know previously. So I'm teaching assistant at FAFA faculty. I work with young students and also already established professionals, meaning with professors. So that's about me.
Hello everyone, my name is Relja Bobić. Today I'm representing Serbian Games Association, where I'm working on the position of the program director. Before that, I've been involved in different kinds of aspects of the creative industries and cultural production for almost, let's say, 20 years now, and I have to say it is great for me to be still involved in working with the French Institute and different partners from France, and now within the domain of gaming. SGA is an industry-based organization. It was founded in 2018 by 6 or 7 local gaming companies, and in a very short time it really rapidly grew, which is I think happening also with the entire ecosystem of the gaming industry in Serbia. So nowadays we have more than 100 members. Around half of them are registered companies. half of them are teams that are aspiring to be successful in the domain of game development. And let's say the main missions of the organizations are, on one hand, to support the members, the companies and teams, and their growth and their capacity building. On the other hand, to support the development of talent pools. So that is why we are also collaborating with academic and informal education institutions. We're also kickstarting our own informal education programs, for example, in collaboration with French Institut, Goethe Institute, and other partners from abroad. And the overall idea is to strengthen the whole ecosystem of the gaming industry in Serbia, because it has very good prospects, but it also needs organizations like SGA, other partners that are involved, and of course events such as this one, and also the involvement of bigger companies coming from abroad, like for example Ubisoft, which is in Belgrade, and there is a number of other ones as well. So maybe this is enough for the start. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I told you they have impressive backgrounds. Can you, maybe because we have a lot of really young people in the audience, can you tell us a bit about how you got into your career? What was your start? What brought you into where you are now?
Just to begin, so I'm graduated from business school, and I did most of my career in higher education. I was heading the alumni association of one of the biggest business schools in France, and then I joined after 3 years Rubica as a director of development, so a school dedicated to creative industries. And my link with creative industries is more passion. And I began to play in the 20th century in the 80s, so I'm the oldest one here, so sorry. No, that's the link between what I did in my career and the industry, and sometimes I'm maybe fortunate for that. Someone called me, there is a position at Planimage, they're looking for a director, so, and I applied, and I'm here today.
Great, thank you.
Maybe I would just like first to ask audience, students, how many of you now know what job you would like to do? Okay,
good.
Nobody.
You, Aurelia, you know?
For
Yeah.
myself, I'm pretty okay with the current job, to be honest.
Okay, thank you. I just want to start this, that I really think that a lot of my friends and myself personally don't actually know what job we would like to do. That's why I think you all need to start with actually your passion. And for example, for myself, I would like to rephrase this question and ask me, how did I come to my life? Because I actually don't split my life and my career. And when I say that, I don't think that it is normal like to work 20 hours per day. No, that's not the point. Actually, the point is when you are really passionate about your work and about your job, unconsciously that's become part of all of you do, about all of you speaking about and so on. So it could happen that I'm, for example, during the weekend on the coffee with some friend of mine, and like 100% in some moment I'm going to start speaking about women economic empowerment and about women empowerment or about talents development, about talents development. And no one pays me for that, you know, but that is my passion and that is my interest, and in order to have like a good time, I need to speak about that as well. And maybe through this I can impact someone, make someone aware of something, and so on. So when the question is how did I start, I actually start with my passion, that was also my advice for you. And I started with private classes to students in different fields of economy. And that was like pretty cool when you, for the first time, like when you are 20, earn your own money, but you earn your own money based on really your knowledge. That's something which drives me today as well. And I bought my dog, Pumba, and that was like something which I really love about the job, that you can actually do something based really on your brain, on your knowledge, and you can earn from that. That's like amazing. Then I started to work also as a research assistant at CEVES, one of our best economic research institutes. Yes, then I became teaching assistant, and now I'm working in AFA, and I told you what AFA is about, so that's how I started.
Well, I think I can very much relate to what you're talking about, and just to make it clear, what I just realized is that my current job is actually my first proper job, which I got after I was 40 already. And if I go back to the start, maybe I'm not really the typical example for this event, because I'm a multiple faculty dropout. But this is also why I started working very, very early. So basically chasing my passion, which was music at the time, not as a musician, but as a journalist, as a radio author, radio presenter, and then I went into promoting music events, bringing, let's say, contemporary musicians to Serbia. I'm mostly talking about the period between 2001 and, yeah, for then plus the next 15 years or so. And I founded a platform or a festival that was called Dispatch, that was going on for around for 10 years, for 9 editions. And then through that, I really kind of had amazing experiences. I met amazing people, traveled all around Europe, even USA, Canada, and so on. And all my travels were usually related to something we were working on. Or so in a way, most of my work was always related to some kind of international cooperation. So basically to connecting people from different countries who are doing similar things and creating something new together. So that was one side. Another side, which I'm still working on now, and that is why my job currently for me is very exciting. Because I'm doing more or less the same thing I've been doing all along, but in a new context and with new people and in an even more transdisciplinary environment that is the gaming industry. So before I was working a lot with musicians who collaborate with visual artists, with filmmakers or fine artists and designers, and now, you know, in the picture is also the business aspect, the marketing, the technology, the hardware. So it's super exciting. And just to kind of round it up, after my festival and all the music stuff, I co-founded another, let's say at the time, pioneering initiative in Serbia called Nova Iskra, which is still existing, which is one of the first creative hubs in the Balkan region. And then I basically developed all the international activities there and ended up being the co-founder of European Creative Hubs Network, which is now one of the, let's say, leading European network organizations working with the new format of cultural institutions that are creative hubs. So something that is a bit more related to creative industries than the, let's say, standard cultural centers, theaters, and so on. So that would be in short, but definitely it was pretty irrational following of the urge and the passion. Not too much, not too smart maybe, but then maybe I was lucky.
You got you where you wanted to be. That's important. Thank you very much for your answers. It's interesting that all of you had different starts, but all of you mentioned chasing the passion, chasing the dream. But how important do you think in this day and age is the classical education, classical like higher education, in order to pursue your dream? Because we have different experiences here. What do you think is the case?
Maybe I can just in short.
Yeah, sure.
Because I have a history with academic education. You know, nowadays I think it really depends what you want to do and what you want to pursue. In a way, sometimes I think, but I don't think I'm right when I say that like long-term academic education is becoming something that is mostly for people who want to stay in academia and like, you know, teach, be researchers and so on. But another thing that I have to say from my personal experience, if you step into it, finish it. Like, you know, like don't make my mistake, for example. I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but I just think on a personal level, but I just think it's important, you know, to kind of finish a process like that. And in terms of the current, let's say, job market, I think for some of the new jobs, and you know, the fact that I'm working now in this industry based mostly on my work experience, I don't think it's something that is, you know, absolutely necessary. But you need to be smart and to kind of calculate what is your goal. You know, do you want to start working really early, 18, 19 years old, going to a studio, doing 3D rendering, or, you know, whatever.
On a scale.
Yeah, because something I mentioned yesterday, I think a challenge for academic institutions dealing with industry-related, let's say, creative field, is that academia is kind of, can be slow, especially the state-founded faculties and so on. And the industry and the technology is changing so fast now. So maybe even within the academic sector, there needs to be a bit of transformation. I mean, in the Western countries or, you know, more developed economies, that's already the case. It's just that we are still just on the beginning of that process.
I believe Elisaveta will have totally different opinion. Let's hear it.
Yeah, because I'm like alone here representing academic. So, but I have all of these students on my side, so I think it will be okay. So, actually, I think that higher education and this formal education is still very important, but not only because what we learn there, and I know that all of you sometimes were like, okay, why I'm doing this and so on, but I think it's important because it's learn you some structure. And the structure is very important, for example, when you tackle some complex issues and so on. So, and if you want to do some better paid job, some really great job, you are going to deal with complex problem. And this structure is important. And of course that someone can say, I'm structured without that as well. Yes, you are, but maybe someone else are not. So, I think that is important. Then also, this education learns you some methodology which you can use in approaching these complex issues and so on. Third thing, why I think it's important is the network of like-minded people. You are all part of network of your colleagues and so on. And the third thing, I also think that it learns you to be disciplined and to be like very responsible towards deadlines, towards leaders, if we can say that professor is some leader, like we will have tomorrow in company, or if you are going to be entrepreneur, it also learns you to be responsible towards some clients, like other people. And also it learns you how to work in teams and how to be responsible to your team as well. For example, when you do some teamwork with your colleagues. But I agree with Relja also when it comes to if our academic and educational institutions satisfy the needs of our industry. For this, answer should be no. And I think 2 years ago we did, with my professors and colleagues, we did one research. It is published. You can read it if you are interested, about nurturing and retaining talents in Serbia. And what we saw is actually that in Serbia and also in other parts of the world as well, there is talent paradox. What does it mean? On the one hand, companies always speak, we want to have best talents, we want to hire people, but we can't find people with right skills and so on. On the other hand, for example, in Serbia, unemployment rate among young people is the highest in Europe. And young people want to work, but then they say, I can't find a job, I want to work, but I don't know where to work. So we have companies who want to hire someone, we have young people who can't find work. So that is a sort of paradox. And actually more than half of companies who participated in our research say they have issues to find right people. And also those companies think, which is aligned with Ralia quote, that actually our educational system do not satisfy what they actually need. And they think that we need to have more developed critical thinking, creative thinking, and also research skills. On the other hand, in AFA, we organize Talent Development Forum, and for this purpose, we also did one research among professors, companies, and students. And students think, like 50% of them think, that they do not have skills they need for the job they're going to do. So just to, like, I can speak about this a lot, but just to sum up, I think that our educational system should not only learn us skills and give us a knowledge we need today. In order to have a good educational system, we need to see what are the future skills and what is the future structure of the economy we are going to have. And that is where education play important role. So we need to think what is the economic structure we are going to have like in 20 years, what jobs we will then have, and all of people in this field will tell you, we can't talk about the jobs we are going to have, we don't know that. Okay, but we know what skills we need to have. So an educational system should teach us those skills we are going to need for the future.
That's extremely important. I love also that your answer was super structured. This is what academia gives you. Yeah. No, really, you made really important points, and I agree completely. Could you maybe tell us a bit about the educational opportunities in France, about the schools? And
of course. All those answers were interesting. Of course, academic studies, it's grand foundation. So, it's your structure for the rest of your life. But today, it's a lifelong learning system that we have to integrate. I think academic studies should learn you how to learn in the future. To get the structure to continue to learn. And one very important thing is also soft skills. Talk a lot about the hard skills, what you have to do in your work, but also soft skills. So, how to work in a team, emotional intelligence, and so on. So there are a lot of things about soft skills too, and it's very important for companies. Just one thing about France and French higher education for creative industries. It's quite different from other countries because it's not in the university that you learn this kind of jobs. It's in most of private schools, and all the private schools, the teachers are not academic teachers. Most of them are professional, coming from the industry, and most of the studies are 5 years long studies, and the last year, Master 2 degree, the fifth year is a year of production. So during 1 year, you develop a full game, and the teachers are just here to help you producing. So they are more producers than teachers. So it's quite different, and so the industry and the companies are in the school from the first day, the first year, to the end, and we have a lot of internships. So we have a culture of internship very, very developed, and the best school also offers links to companies for internship abroad. Because the name of the video is study in France, work in Serbia, but you can work everywhere in the world and come back to Serbia. You can study abroad, in France, but maybe in another country, but you have your first job in Canada, in Great Britain, so on, and then come back. So you have to be prepared also to. So it's the role of the schools to prepare you to your future, and not only on the hard skills side. So soft skills are very, very important. I had something to add, but I don't remember what it is. So
if you remember it.
Yeah,
we'll go back.
Sorry, Milice, if I may, because I think it's important. You mentioned how companies are also engaged in education, and I think that is very important to us as well. For example, during this Talent Development Forum I mentioned, we have professors from different universities from all around the world, like Princeton and so on. And some of them, I think that was Jelena Zdravkovic from Sweden, she mentioned that, for example, in Sweden, companies post on, for example, website of the faculty problems they have. And then, like you in teams, like students, can actually solve those problems. And that is good for you, because you are then really aware what happened in the economy and what business needs and so on, and you can see if that is your interest or not. On the other hand, companies then have some fresh ideas and so on. So I think that maybe like through students' organizations as well, and through faculties, of course, maybe we can have this initiative to involve more companies in this way.
And I remember what I had to say. It's about the diplomas. Depending countries and companies, sometimes it's important the diplomas you have, because some big companies have salary grids that are linked to the diplomas you have, which school or university you come from. So I don't have the same salary though. Even when you choose your school, have a look to what they call target school in big companies. I know at Ubisoft you have some target school. In France, so far, they have targeted schools. And for game dev, but also in business schools, in engineering schools. And depending the schools you come from, you won't have the same salary. So just be aware of that.
That's a really important point.
Yeah.
Thank you all for the answers. You mentioned a bit about the soft skills, and I think it's extremely important. And for me, from my experience, it was mostly transferred from a person who was a bit like a mentor to me. What do you feel about mentorship, and how important it was for your careers to have that someone who stands up for you, who takes you under their wing and like leads you through the career?
I can say I didn't really have let's say, a direct personal experience in that regard in terms of working with a single person. But when I was in my 20s, for me it was, especially because of the, let's say, the moment of working on what I was working on in Serbia at the time, so like post-2000, it was really important for me to engage with people who are doing similar things on a very professional level. And that was really an invaluable experience for me. And then among them, of course, different cliques happened with, certain people. And I was working on a number of projects with people who became my close friends eventually, whether they come from the US or from Germany or other different countries, Austria and so on. And those were really like immense learning opportunities for me. Although maybe it wasn't formalized in a mentorship, let's say, relationship of a mentor and mentee, which nowadays, especially I see in our environment, is becoming more and more present, and I think that is amazing, especially for younger people. So I have to just mention that also within SGA, we are now running since this year a mentorship program. We are just starting now the second cycle of it. So we are pairing senior and junior people from different companies, and we are also bringing in mentors from maybe outside of the specifically gaming industry. And we are doing all that with the organization called Creative Mentorship, which is a pioneering initiative, I think even in our region, when it comes to mentorship, and they are already doing it for 6 or 7 years in a very dedicated, meticulous way. So I really have to say only good things about them, and they are helping us basically set up these mentorship processes within our community. Yeah. So I would
That
say
sounds amazing.
definitely it's really, really important.
Great.
Okay, yeah, maybe I can also jump in with some personal angle. So for me, when I started every job, the most important thing was not the salary, but was the mentor and the person from whom I can learn at this job. And I don't know, again, question, how many of you have mentors now? Do you have any? Okay, just one person, so two? Yeah. So yeah, go and find them and actually find someone who is really, not anyone, but someone who is really the best in the field. So when I started to work at CEVES, I mentioned, this research institute, I had the opportunity to work with Kori Udovički, who is, in my personal opinion, one of the best economists we have. And I learned a lot from her, really. Then at my faculty, I had this privilege to work with professors who are really best in their fields, like Professor Nedeljković, Piticavić, and so on. And I learned from them a lot, how can I be great in academic, how can I write good, and so on. And in AFA, I work with Jacqueline, who is AFA founder and program director. And from her, I learned really a lot about entrepreneurship, innovations, how companies can do something which is meaningful and which creates common good, and so on. I think that is important because, you know, when you do something for the first time, it is completely normal that you don't know answer of every question. And since like the time is a very valuable resource we have and we don't have it enough, it is always better if you have someone who know that, who cross that bridge, and who can help you to make, don't to make the same mistakes and to overcome this challenge faster and so on. And that is like from the personal angle what I would like to mention, for example, what we have through AFA, especially for you who are female students. We have this project called More Girls in STEM, actually More Girls in Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math, where we organize hackathons for primary, secondary, and like university students, where they work with mentors, female mentors, from technology companies. And for example, Ubisoft also participated there. We have mentors from Ubisoft and a lot of different companies. And that is like the first step how you can meet someone who potentially can be your mentor, for example.
And we talk about mentors, but it's very important to be a good mentee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a cross-involvement. It's not only waiting for the mentor to help you, to give you advices and so on. No, you also have to be active in the relationship with your mentor. So it's very important. And okay, you can have a mentor, and maybe in a wider way, it's about networking. Yesterday we thought that okay, creative industry, it's a small world. So you need to create your network and come to this kind of event and get in touch with people. And you know, the world is very small. And we had a discussion this morning. We know people. First time we met, we're in the same country, but we know people in common. So network is very, very important.
Yeah, I would like to add to what you said on the mentee side. So I think even if you don't have, like, let's say, officially a mentor, it's about how you approach the people you work with. So I think over the last, let's say, 10 years, I learned the most from a couple of my partners, for example, with whom I co-founded Nova Iskra, who had a different set of experience than me before that, and just going through new things together and looking how they approach things, I don't know, to specific things, how they negotiate or how they handle stress or how they do their planning or how they communicate to other colleagues. Because, for example, for me beforehand, I was mostly kind of a one-man show in the first things that I was working on. And then, for example, Nova Iskra was a big learning curve for me to like have a bigger team and then even to be responsible for people working for you and with you and so on. So I think that kind of open attitude and just following and looking at how people are doing their thing is also really important.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's always a two-way relationship. You have to give as much as you need to receive. You're absolutely right. You mentioned a little bit, all of you, a bit on networking and events, and I know that you have the most experience.
That was
with
kind of my job.
Yeah, it's kind of your job.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the importance of having these kind of events also, and if any of you have some sort of advice for young people, how to reach out, how to find people to mentor them, and how to just make connections and grow their network, basically.
Yeah, I could give advice on the level. On one hand, it's also about the approach. So never be afraid to approach somebody, to ask a question, to pick up a contact, because usually, and events or conferences or panels are actually the places where you're able to do that. Because if you send an email to somebody with your portfolio or an idea, or to ask them for a meeting or a session, it's probably 1 in 100 emails of that day. But on the other hand, in real life, you also leave an impression, there's a face-to-face contact, and so on. Another thing, maybe for later on, when you become already a professional or you run your own business, my approach was always, I mean, sometimes I would get an invitation to go to some conference abroad, and then it takes 2 or 3 days, and sometimes not all the costs are covered, and then we are thinking like, is it worthwhile to go? But actually my experience was, maybe at that conference you're going to meet one person out of 500, and with that person you will do 5 amazing things over the next 10 years. Yeah. And this is what happened to me multiple times, really. So you really never know. So it's not, I think, these kind of events, it's not always just maybe the program of the conference is boring and you don't like it, or it's not your thing, but then on the list of the delegates, you're going to bump into your future business partner, somebody you will, make something amazing together with, and so on. So I would say those 2 things are the most important ones.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You want to add something?
Not to add, you finished? Yes. I just, again, want to have some personal angle here. For example, for me, people always say, because I used to be like actress in some student theater, and people always think that I'm very good at networking and so on, but I'm not so confident every time, and I'm also scared sometimes when I need to network with someone and so on, and that's really something, even if we don't want to say that, we all feel that. Because people don't like to be in the situation which are like unknown situations for them, and that's completely normal. So I will just mention one situation I had, I think, 1 year before. I had the opportunity to participate at one workshop where the host was a Harvard Business School professor. And that's like the top thing for me in my career, like Harvard Business School. On the other hand, on this workshop also participated 30 executives from companies from whole Europe and myself. So I'm not an executive. I'm coming from a country who they're not familiar with. They're not familiar with our economy. They're not familiar with my faculty and so on. But the thing I know is that that is perfect opportunity for me to make networks, not only with this professor, but also with all of these executives and so on. And what I did, I prepared myself very good. I read the whole this material we had before the workshop. I read also additional materials, and believe me, if you do that, you're in advance because you have competitive advantage because people don't read when people send them all of these preparation materials. So I did that. Then the workshop starts, and this professor answered first question, and I was first who raised the hand. And during the workshop, I started to speaking a lot, and my answers were pretty good. And after the workshop, what happened? I was connected with this professor on LinkedIn. We were in touch through email. He is answering to me on email, and so on. So what is my point? Not that I'm so good, but that something completely different. All of these executives were better than me, believe me, because they do business, they know business, and we have business workshop. I'm not in business, you know? But I prepared myself very good, and that is like first advice. When you want to network with someone and when you want to meet someone, you need to prepare yourself. You need to know where you go, who would you like to meet, and you need to find some like catch point, how you're going to approach this person. And the second thing, what I thought about this workshop as well, and that is like most important advice, don't be scared, because what is the worst case scenario that can happen? The worst case scenario for me was like that I have stupid answers, but who cares? All of these people will forget me, and that's it. But like the best case scenario was that I'm connected with all of these people and so on. So the worst case scenario was that someone, when you come and say, hi, I would like to meet you because of this and that some executive or some person you would like to meet say, oh, I'm so sorry, I don't have time now, I'm very busy, I have something different to work, and that's it. And who cares? Okay, who cares? But I really think, and Ralia and Emmanuel can say, like in 99% of its situations, all of these important people would like to speak with you. And why they would like to speak with you? Because by speaking with you, they're exposed to the future, because you are really the future, you know something that they actually don't. You're coming from different generation and so on. So you also have something to offer, yes. But so that's it. Don't be scared and be prepared.
I mean, something on that point is that you also have to maybe turn the tables, and with the fact that, for example, when you're from Serbia and you're in this kind of, setting, you will normally think that, oh, poor me, I know nothing, and I'm coming from an undeveloped country. But now, over the last couple of years, especially last 2 years, you hear this word, new buzzword, resilience, and resilient organizations and so on. And actually, what I was experiencing throughout my career was that I was always in advantage, actually, to my colleagues in Germany or Austria or Canada and so on. They had bigger budgets, it was easier for them to work and so on. But I was able to make a lot more from far less. And basically, I don't know, when I was working on, contemporary electronic music, whatever, I kind of put Belgrade on that map, and I don't think that any one of them would be expecting, oh, now there's like a super advanced festival in Serbia, and so on. And another just thing to share, like when you start kind of a chain of events, me and my colleague Marco, co-founder of Nova Iskra, we went to Lisboa, I think it was 2015, for like a big conference that basically we kind of, we paid for us to go there and so on. And actually there was some work groups being developed on that conference. There was like hundreds of people in the auditorium, and then they asked like, who wants to, I don't know, work on this? And then kind of silence, and then we were, immediately. So this is the thing. If you're in a big event and you feel you have something meaningful to say, like do it, because then people will at least remember you, or maybe you even open, an opportunity. So specifically at that event, we were kind of engaging with a lot of people. We were also kind of being funny and, funny two guys from the Balkans, whatever. And then a couple of months later came an invitation to join a big EU project that became, for us, for the next 2 years, the main thing. Then we managed to, as part of that, host a conference in Belgrade for around 200 people from all over Europe. That was super successful. That brought us 5 more projects, 5 more invitations to join partnerships and so on. And for the next, 3-4 years, based on this one conference that we were kind of thinking, should we go there or not? You know, it made all this happen.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like that's just one hand up. That's just one very well prepared conference. It takes really a little, and it makes a huge difference. I don't know, Emmanuel, if you wanted to add on that.
That's a joke, but especially when you're far away from home, when you're in the US or big international events, all the people come from all over the world. So they're all tired, jet lag and so on. And you can create contact very easily because you can stone like this. Okay. And I had I met some people that, and even French people, especially in the US, I wasn't able to reach them in France. And because we were in Vegas, you know, all tired, it creates connections. So sometimes it's a good way to target people you want to target here, and say, okay, he or she goes to this event in the US or in China. I will go there and I will get in contact. It's much easier.
That's really interesting. Thank you. That's all really good advice. I wanted to ask you just one more question since we're kind of out of time, and it's something that's really important for me and dear to my heart. It's about the diversity and inclusion in the industry. I want to hear more about your thoughts and how we can attract more diverse and marginalized people in the industry. Whoever wants to.
Everyone look at me.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I think like this diversity and inclusion is, of course, it is necessary, especially when we are developing new products and services. It is always great to have different approaches, because that means you are going to develop something which is good. You know, when you, for example, do some students' work, it's always good to have someone who is good in math, someone who is good in writing. So it's better than to have all of you who are good in one thing. So that's also in companies. And for example, according to Deloitte, organizations, workplaces who actually leverage the diversity of thinking, enhancing innovations by 20%. And also organizations with this inclusive culture are 6 times more likely to be more innovative and agile, and 8 times more likely to be to have better business results. So it's good for business, like we have also numbers showing that. And it's also good for societies. But when we speak about women in STEM and girls in STEM, in science, technology, engineering, and math, we really lack them. For example, from all workers in the world, like tech workers, not all, but technology workers, only 20% are women. When we speak about students, women account for only 35% of STEM students. And why it is so? So first, actually, many times girls and young women lack female role models. They actually think that they don't know women who are engineers or programmers or I don't know, they know women who are doctors, bankers, and so on. So that's the first thing. Then the second thing, I don't know how many of you have heard about this, but it's very interesting. For example, when we started, like first programmers were women, and you know, when something doesn't work, we say baguje, like bag and so on. And this is world which is developed by one women programmer, for example. But in 80s in America, and you know they are like the best in marketing, they started to do marketing for computers, where parents buy computer to boy, and then boy is playing computer all time and so on. And then parents started to buy computers more to boys than to girls. And when we then come to, for example, universities, boys were better at start. Why? Because they were familiar with computers, and girls were not. And girls don't like that. We don't like when we are not like perfect in everything. And that's way they start to drop out. And today you also can see that how we go to a further level of education, the interest among girls for STEM is lower and lower. And the third thing, and I would like to invite Relja to also support this, is actually that girls and young women think that STEM is not creative, but gaming industry is actually like the best case that it is. So yeah, that's about like.
Yeah, we have in our current Playing Narratives program, almost half of the 23 participants are girls. And I would just go back to mention the thing you said about computers and boys, and it's a much wider social problem that goes way back to blue and pink, you know, division, basically. And I think it's a really big problem. And the other thing, because my son is going to elementary school now, and I can tell you that in general, in this like scope between maybe 5 years old and 10 years old, my reflection is that girls are far more focused, calmer, and able to be more, let's say, rational and more dedicated to learning, actually, while boys are always in, there's some kind of a surplus of energy that needs to be vented. And it's really sad if this kind of like, if the tables are then turned by basically social norms that are just kind of in place for a long time. And then if we look at gaming, because usually if you would ask anybody in the street, they would think of gaming as something, male. But all the research about the gamers is that it's almost half and half. Yep. Like more than 45% of gamers are women, and actually in the higher age range. So not maybe super young girls, but after 20 or 25, it's almost half and half between. And then at the same time, on the industry level, it's very male dominated. Yep. So I think there is definitely now, when I look at what we are doing, and we are trying to involve more and more girls in our programs, and also with the French Institute, we worked on a number of programs, and Milica, you were also part of it. So I think that there is a lot of space that young creative girls, or those that are versed in tech, can find their career paths in gaming. Because again, to mention it, I think gaming industry as a profession, as a professional part, is really amazing because it's so diverse, and you can really also come from other industries. It doesn't mean that you go to a faculty and then you go straight into gaming. I mean, you can be in marketing or business or software development, C++, whatever. Yep. But then, if you're looking for something more dynamic and creatively challenging and so on, I would say that this industry is definitely a good opportunity.
Has it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Emmanuel, do you have anything to add, like in terms of what Plan Image does in that regard? Any good practices to share?
It's really difficult. You summarize very well what the industry is. It's 50-50 players, men, women. In the companies, especially in the biggest one, the game creators, game designers are people like me, white male, almost 50. That's the truth. For example, just have to look at you at Ubisoft. That's the case. And but I think, especially the gaming industry is maybe one of the most inclusive industry, historically speaking. There work a lot because we just have here we just talk about men and women, but it's also disabled people. Sexual orientations, and so on. And it was the first industry that in the job offers we are open to all kind of people. And now it's kind everywhere in most industry, but they were the first, and even by developing the games, by subtitling the games for deaf people, and also by designing some gameplays for disabled people. So I think it's an industry that is quite advanced for inclusion, but there's still work to do, and I know, for example, at Ubisoft, most of the marketing team at the headquarters is made of women, and the creators, the creatives are men, and people from business school and people from art school, they don't speak together. So and the marketing team had a lot of ideas to create new games for young girls. They can't talk together. It's quite weird. So I hope it will change. And I think what happened in Ubisoft a few months ago changed a lot of things. You can't talk about it, I know.
No, we have a long way to go, but you're totally right. We need to marry those two, basically.
I would maybe add why I think the gaming industry is maybe also, that you mentioned, one of the first that opened up, and not just on the level of gender, is because of the cultural component. Because gaming is not just an industry, but it's a kind of a cultural code of today, and it's been going on for decades now. And it also tunes into, you name it, horror movies, fantasy, literature, different kind of art, and so on. So from anyone's conservative point of view, everything weird is kind of okay, in this domain. And that is also why I think it's a place, hopefully, that will become even more, open to all these different approaches.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. There's a long way to go, but I think we're making good progress, and it's important to talk about it and to work on it. Thank you very much. It was super interesting, and we kind of broke a little bit the time, but I wanted to ask the audience if they have any questions. Maybe we can. Yeah, sure. Do we do the mic? Okay.
Hello, my name is Bolan, and I have a question about self-learning skills. Is there any that you can recommend us to learn or start paying more attention to it?
Who wants to take it?
Like speaking or presenting or something like that.
I think I can say, if you ask me, like what companies also need, and that's maybe where you can start. It's this creative thinking and critical thinking, and also those research and analytical skills that, for example, in any industry, you should analyze something to make some conclusions. So, for example, from a very big set of data to like get some informations and so on. So maybe you can practice this. And I also, what is very important are those like presentation skills, but presentation skills in terms of to present something very good to someone, to make the other person believe you, and so on. Because when we speak about artificial intelligence and that they are going to replace our jobs and so on, those skills are actually skills that couldn't be replaced. And to present good, to get information, to know to what you can do with these informations and so on.
I would add just that for the thing that you asked, it's a bit, the tricky thing is that this is in the realm of the so-called soft skills, and this is something that is much harder to learn through tutorials, YouTube videos, and so on. So you really have to kind of do it in vivo through some experience of a workshop, seminar, program, and so on. So my suggestion would be to always follow these kind of different, there are quite some, programs, I still think, organized by different NGOs or maybe schools and so on, where you can apply, enroll, and then go through some of these workshops. And then also what we already discussed, these kind of things you can learn from a mentor or from somebody that is more experienced than you, that you have by your side.
And maybe some advice. Universities or schools are not enough time to teach you all the software existing on the market and that's used in the production. So if you target some companies, just have a look at and get info about what kind of software they use, what is their production pipeline, and then go to the web and to find the tutorials on this specific software.
Yeah, and also you should invest if you're able into this. So if you would, if somebody would, I don't know, pay for a course in AutoCAD or Maya software or whatever, it really makes sense to also invest in a course in presentation skills or communication skills, team culture, things like this. If this is something that you feel will be relevant for your work.
Yeah, I want to add.
Sorry.
Just, no, Google.
I just also want to add, maybe you can do some internships also, and that's really great because you can try all of this. Like you can try to present to someone something and so on. And maybe, I don't know from which faculty you come, but at business faculty we have these case studies. And that's always cool because you can have this approach, problem-solving approach, and then to present to someone. And
yeah, I just wanted to add one thing that for example, I look for people that are joining my team. Two things. One is passion. You have to be really passionate about what you do. And the other thing is to be proactive. It's really important to be proactive, to invite yourself to the table, to jump on things, to open the opportunities for yourself. Not to just sit and wait for someone to tell you what to do. Like, do this task, and when you finish this task, you're like, okay. No, just jump in on every opportunity that you can, even if you're not the most proficient person for that, even if you're not the most confident that you can do it, you can do it. Usually you can do it, and just jump in and do it. That's for me. Okay?
And be the best in what you're already doing. Yeah.
Okay. Mics everywhere.
Does it work? Yeah. Hi, I have a question about sound in gaming. I've noticed, maybe I'm wrong, so please correct me, that there aren't many places in Serbia for sound department, like jobs. So I want to ask what are the opportunities and what are your experiences maybe with sound design or anything related to that?
Okay, so I can mention I know there is a course at the SAE school that's also based in Belgrade. We were also within SGA putting together a couple of lectures and sessions with Nikola Jeremic, who is one of the, let's say, most active sound designers in this field. There are others as well. There's also girls working on these type of jobs, but not a lot of them are, let's say, super specialized for gaming. But now also at the Faculty of Dramatic Arts, there's going to be a new 4-year course.
I'm from Faculty of Dramatic Arts, so that's why I'm asking.
Okay. You're studying at FDU?
No, I'm FDU, but sound design for TV movies.
Okay.
But there are going to be new courses on.
Yeah, exactly. But maybe because of this situation, the answer would be mostly the answer to the previous question. So I think if you are really interested in this, you should maybe reach out to like Nikola Jeremic or to one of these other guys. Propose an internship, maybe even if they don't do it, you can send some of your work and say, I'm really interested to pursue this specifically. You know, maybe try to get into a situation that one of these professionals become your mentor, at least for a short while, you know. Because, for example, Nicola worked on AAA projects and so on. And I can also direct you to SGA's YouTube channel. There are, I think, 1 or 2 lectures that he did for us that are recorded. So that are kind of covering the basics of sound design for games. So there you can find out also which software is usually used, how the process looks like, and so on. So later on, maybe I can just show you or send you the link to this particular video.
Of course, thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. We have one question here.
Thank you. Before I ask my question, I want to apologize and just say something to the audience with permission from Catherine from the French Institut. Just inspired by what you were talking about and the importance of having a female mentor, especially for young girls, I just wanted to inform everyone that Ubisoft is organizing a game development school for girls, which is starting on November 20th. It'll last for 5 weeks. And the girls will have an opportunity to work with our colleagues from the programming teams, from the game design teams, from the level art teams. So please, if you have a cousin, a sister, or you know someone who is in the 7th or 8th grade of elementary school, just point them to our YouTube channel. It's Ubisoft Belgrade, and they'll be able to get all the information there. It's a really cool opportunity for them to meet really, really cool women in the video game industry. And of course, if you have any questions, you can write to me at luka.paunovic@ubisoft.com. So thank you, Catherine, for this.
Thank you.
And yeah, of course, and thank you guys for the talk. And I actually do have a question. I'll try to keep it short. It's something that I've been thinking about quite a lot in the past year and a half, and something that I think people who are entering the workforce, I guess, should be thinking about as well. I want to ask you, do you think that is the workplace evolving? Is it evolving fast enough? And I'm primarily asking this in terms of the changes that have happened related to remote work, more and more talk about a 4-day work week, because it took us from the 19th century for it to go down from 6 to 5 to 4, and it seems to take 100 years for workers to get kind of significant bumps in their rights, actually. So how do you guys feel just in general about this? And this is for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I could say that I think it's a really big and wide issue. From my personal experience and looking at, you know, my colleagues, people I work with, I don't know about research data, but I'm absolutely positive that if there was research conducted about efficiency at work between 5-day work week and 4-day work week, I'm sure that the latter would, you know, win. And I think in general, and now also, of course, with the pandemic and everything, I think everybody is, you know, thinking more and more about the well-being aspect, because it's also like the question, like, are you living, you know, to be working, or are you working to be able to live decently? And hopefully more and more people will, you know, raise this question to themselves, but also in companies. And the big issue that is driving that is kind of what I see as a kind of blind growth, the idea of blind growth of companies, of economy, and so on, you know, that is, okay, inherent to this, let's say, neoliberal structure that we are living in, but okay, we don't have any philosophers today here. Yeah, so I think it would hopefully those kind of changes will come. As we know, we usually have to wait 5 to 10 years more here. So, but as everything is speeding up, maybe we don't wait for so long. And these other more imminent changes about like remote work and so on, I think that let's say, the capital will anyway recognize that the more flexibility for the worker will eventually be actually more beneficial for the business as well, because that is how the context is, you know, evolving. Yeah.
Yeah, I also think that these flexible workplace environments are very good and very productive for business as well. And I think 2 weeks ago we had Women Leadership Summit at AFA. Milica participated as well, and I had a discussion with Nina Jotic from Google, and she explained, for example, how their working environment is changing, and that, for example, today, but I think that many companies have this option. Also, they have 3 days working from office and 2 days working from anywhere they want. But I also think that it is important that we still have this opportunity to work in person together, which I also think that is very important for creative teams, like gaming teams. When you develop games, that sometimes you are all together and so on. But what I can see in this traditional sector of the economy, some of these consulting firms and so on in the world do not have real estates anymore and so on. And but that doesn't mean that the whole life they're going to work from home. I think that just think that they realized the cost of all of this, and now people work from home, but I'm sure they are going to rent some I don't know, co-working spaces.
Yeah,
for
there are also models
so
I know of a company here locally that's basically the mother companies from the States, and when the pandemic started, they immediately looked at their balance sheets and were like, oh, we don't have to rent an office. And they immediately decided we're never going back to the office, which for a lot of employees who are parents and so on with young kids, of course, is not really, so convenient. Yeah. But then what they did was rent a couple of houses, I think 2 houses that they kind of arranged as meeting points for their employees, kind of to hang out, to network, to build kind of a team culture. I'm not saying this as an example that I fully support, because I'm not sure about it. I would have to think a bit harder. But I just want to say that there are so many now variations, And in co-working places, companies that have 100 employees, they rent 20 tables, and then they kind of, make some kind of rotation system and so on. I just hope that when all these things are done, that it's not just for the interest of saving money, which means increasing profits, but that the well-being of the people working is at the forefront. So, this goes then case by case.
Saving money is creating value. It's different. Yeah, and in our industry, to create value, we have to work together. It's culturally creative industries. If you're alone at home, it's quite difficult to create. So, yeah.
Yeah. Any more questions? Yeah, sure. Oh, questions.
Okay. You can hear me? Right.
Yep.
Okay. So I also make a little introduction like my predecessor here. Well, my name is Darko, and I'm head of marketing and PR in Poslovi Institut group of sites for employment. And I would like to announce that we, in cooperation with, of course, French Institute, will support this program study in France and work in Serbia, because we find it very useful for our whole society. And well, many people here are in question, what does the mission of the companies is for? Why do companies have it? Well, and here is the example. Our company's mission is to make Serbia a better place to work. So we recognize this program, study in France and work in Serbia, as an opportunity to do just that. And okay, so we are praising the initiative, and we will support you in this event and next events and the whole program.
Yeah, the triangle already with Marias. Perfect.
Yes, great.
Yes. Why? Well, we have access to many people who are trying to find job opportunities and the chance to enhance their careers. We have also access to many companies working in Serbia already, and we could facilitate the whole process. And we'll do it because we think it's right. So, and okay, and one question: what happened with Dispatch? Dispatch, the festival.
This is semi-personal, semi-related to the topic. It's a project I was mentioning, but I didn't name it. Well, it was running for 10 years, and then it just became too exhausting to continue.
Nice. It was very nice.
Well, thank you. Well, really would be a pretty long story, but maybe I can sum it up by that working on an annual festival as a format is pretty exhausting, and it kind of really locks you on a personal level and your organization in a certain timeline of the year, and a certain levels of stress at certain, related to fundraising and so on. And eventually on a personal level, because I was mostly, let's say, running it together with some close friends of mine, basically, who were helping out. I also needed professional, personal change and change of the format of the way that I'm working. So yeah, I think a cycle of 10 years is pretty much enough. And then, but to connect to what we were speaking about at the beginning, then it was maybe considered by myself as a tragedy, by people who like to attend the event and so on. But actually what came then as an effect was a lot of new things, good things and so on. So I think also overall, if we talk about a job or a project or whatever you do, it's also very important that you feel when is the best time to stop. And sometimes it's better to decide to stop while you still have energy to push, but you need to have the awareness that you want to avoid being totally burnt out by the job or the project or whatever. So maybe that would be the... Thanks.
Thank you.
But
hello, I come from one of the co-organizers of the event, and I have to say that we are very pleased that there is so much interest also from the company side, because usually there is a question, there are students who studied all over Europe, they came back or they're thinking to come back, and they're not sure whether their skills will be recognized here, so thank you very much for sharing your experiences. But my question is more related to the diversity of the gaming industry. Usually when we speak, and my generation is 40 years plus, we think about the gaming industry as of the people that have business skills, developer skills, maybe sound specialists, and those that are excellent in the IT. But if I'm not mistaken, there are other workplaces and other skills are needed as well, like psychologists and some cross-disciplinary, interdisciplinary skills. And could you please elaborate more on that? Because this will give an idea to maybe a wider audience that this is really a job market that is enlarging maybe the most.
Video game companies are normal companies. HR, marketing, finance. So they need all those skills in the company. But it's a specific business with its own rules and its own market. And maybe also on the other way, at the opening you can have when you study video games to go to other industries. The development of real-time 3D modeling is changing the game today. Okay, it's for the video game, but it's also for animation movies, for feature movies, for design, and today we find it in the architecture, industry, industrial design, sports. So these skills, the specific skills on 3D modeling and real-time 3D modeling is very interesting for other businesses. So I think it would be good to you if you learn this kind of software today. And Unity and Unreal are today when you go on their website. Okay, we talk about gaming, but okay, what are our solutions for industry, for construction?
Yeah. Also, I would mention like humanities in general are very relevant for gaming, and not just for these like business support sectors like HR, marketing, and so on, but really in the creation of games. So some of our main mentors on some programs studied world literature at the philological faculty, or psychology, or anthropology, or philosophy. Yeah, so that's really important to point out. And the other thing is the crossover between the post-production, audiovisual post-production industry and the gaming industry. So I think most of the people who will go into maybe studying film, editing, VFX, sound, I mean, production, you know, also maybe a couple of workshops, and they can be amazing professionals for the gaming industry.
We also employ a lot of actors, both
voiceovers
and motion capture actors. That's more and more that you see famous actors
so
in the games now.
Dancers, actors.
Yes, everything.
In the entertainment business, we talk about entertainment, it's not only
everything
game,
entertainment,
and we are developing IPs. You take one game, it become, then it's a feature movie. You can have music on that. So,
We have time. Then we have cookies, juice. They are already there on your mentor. You can make them. So we have time. We can even book beds here. Let's see.
Hello, my name is Dusan. I'm a student, and I wanted to question it. It connects to the shortfall there is in a bit of an education when it comes to video game design, because the industry constantly evolves, uses new standards, new technologies, and the education system just can't keep up with it realistically. So what's your advice? Should we look to professional courses in specific programs, languages, or should we look to get internships as soon as possible to get a foot in the door in the industry to know what's relevant, what's being used, or should we try and do both if it's possible?
I'd say both.
I also think best is both, and I don't want to advocate for any specific, you know, company or platform or whatever. But if you, you know, you could study whatever you study, maybe technical stuff or maybe something more versed to humanities. But if you're interested and versed in making stuff and you go now teaching yourself Unreal Engine or Unity, okay, those are maybe the two dominant technical platforms. You will always be able to, I mean, not always be able to find a job, but you might get into a situation where you're maybe developing a project independently with some friends because you have friends who are super artists or, you know, creative writers and so on. And I know some people, I know one guy who's actually like kind of a higher manager in a real estate type company in Belgrade, and he's using his spare time to learn Unreal. And then he has his own plan, I guess, 5 more years in this business, making some savings, and then I want to like do something creative and so on and so on. And I think nowadays is easier than ever with the resources and so on to accomplish something like that, like to not to go into a school for Unreal Engine because it doesn't really exist, but to do it yourself.
From my personal experience, I started to work very early, and I studied and worked at the same time, and it really studies helped my work immensely, and my work helped my studies immensely. So it was really beneficial for the both. If you can find an opportunity to get a super early foot in the door in the industry, whatever the job is, you should take it, definitely.
Hello, since we don't have time, I know I'm going to be quick.
Jill, we have time.
You haven't understood. No, we have time.
Great. Since everybody already asked all the important questions, I just want to make a simple one. First, I want to say I'm glad to be here. It was very helpful and insightful, and I hope furthermore down the path we can keep improving. And now for the question, what is the favorite video game you all have worked on? It can be from a player perspective, but more from a development perspective.
That we worked on?
Yeah.
At the moment, for me, it's my last project. It's the game that we just launched last week, Riders Republic. It's an awesome game. It was a super passionate project for me, and the whole production was extremely passionate about what they were doing. So it was a great experience. It's a great game, and I'm totally proud of what we did. So I'm super happy about that one. That's my last baby.
Agree.
Manuel, have you ever worked on a game?
No, I'm very proud of the company we helped to develop their business. I'm not a creator. In our incubator, when we have young people creating their own company, and when they make the first sales, great. But I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, I can also add, because I'm not coming actually from this industry, and I'm in a completely different role, and I think that I'm not sure even if I would want to work in a kind of proper gaming company, because for me what is kind of rewarding for me is to create the environment for people like you to kind of realize your passion or ambition, or to make a synergy and create something together. And that was mostly what I've been doing all along for a pretty long time. So yeah, in that regard, if you talk about gaming, I'm really proud of the project we are running now called Playing Narratives, which proved to be in its pilot a very super experience for the 23 young people who are participating in it. So like looking at so I don't see like a success in how big the project is or whatever, but mostly looking at them from week to week, how they created new friendships, collaborations, created things that didn't exist before.
Yeah, I also have never worked on game development, and I'm not from gaming industry as well, but I can say something different, like in AFA we have this hackathon, we call it Hack Teen, for more girls, not small girls, but girls in primary school, 11 to 15 years old, and they, for example, always developed some concept for some video game, because in this period they think that not gaming but STEM is boring and so on, it's not creative enough and so on, and that's why we gave them the opportunity to develop some games in some specific topics. And I was in jury, and when they present all of these solutions, it was really amazing. So I would like to be part of some of these games if someone would like to develop one.
For sure. More questions? Yep.
Okay. Hello, I would like to ask a question related to our self-project, and what recommendations and advice would you give to when we start projects or beginner projects in our field, or any field generally in this sphere? Yeah, when we start our own projects, like for example, in university, in first year, we have, like we are creating a game, so what would you recommend for our first projects, or beginner projects in general?
For video game projects, when you develop a game, it's not, don't develop the game you want to develop and will enjoy to play, but the customer will enjoy to play. It's quite different. Often when we have young entrepreneurs that want to create a video game studio, they want to create the first game, and the first game is it's a game I want to play because I enjoy it. Okay, great. But do you think the customers you will have will enjoy it? So, if you're in the entrepreneur's perspective, if it's just an academic project for your school, enjoy and create the game you want to play. But if it's for getting into business, think about your customers.
Yeah, I'm asking in general, like in business, and how would that work?
Yeah, but also try to be realistic, because what Emmanuel mentioned, and that's what people from the community always tell me, that the biggest mistake of somebody who's getting into it is wanting to make a game of the sort that you like to play, you know. And you usually like to play AAA games, maybe, and on AAA games, 500 people, you know, work. So you really don't stand the chance. And then you can end up being very frustrated at the very first step, which would be a pity. So just in the sense of like going gradually, you know, and also looking at these projects that you do, not just as homework, you know, that's something that needs to be satisfying for the teacher or whatever, but maybe try to approach them in a kind of, in a way like you want to publicize it and have some other people try it out and like it and tell you what they think about it.
I'd add two things. First is to make a project that you can finish, so make it really small and always finish it. And if you see yourself that you're starting to add more things like, oh, this feature is really cool, I want to add this, I want to expand my story, don't do that. Just cut. Even when you don't think you need to cut it still, because you won't finish it anyway. That's the most mistakes people make, they never finish their games. So first of all, make sure you finish it, and second of all, put it out there. Like there are a lot of platforms, like you have itch.io, that you can put your game on for free and share it with everyone, share it with the community on itch, share it with your friends, with people, and get feedback. So basically just put it out there and see what people think of it. Most of the time it's going to be super cool and just boost you to make another thing. So that's extremely important to get it to the audience.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, I would like to ask you, what advice could you give to someone who's currently studying web development? And also I would like to ask you, how can I merge web development with gaming industry? If it is possible, and if you could give me any examples.
I can just say that, for example, in my team, there are a lot of people that maybe studied web development or just decided to use the programming skills and to switch to programming languages that we use for developing games. So that's the connection I see in the first thing. If you're studying programming or design in web development?
Kind of both.
Okay, perfect. That's both those skills you can use in game development, so you're good. You're on a good path.
But I'm more studying now web development, because in the second year we get to choose like between web programming, IT and databases and things like that. So I chose web development, and there is also some programming in there, like C# and things like that. But
cool.
Yeah, mostly web.
So if you want to work in classic video games and like PC console video games, you can still do that. You would probably just need to expand on your knowledge of the programming language. And on the other side, there are a lot of games now that are developed for the web, like HTML5 games for Facebook, and smaller games like casual games that are played in the browser. So there's a huge opportunity there in the now growing market of the web games. That's just my 2 cents. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Hi, my name is Victor, and as a master's student here at the Faculty of Music in Belgrade, I would like to ask a question. What would your advice be on working musicians? How to apply for, let's say, for instance, jobs in the gaming industry about composing music for games?
Well, more or less the same response I already gave to your colleague. So I suppose you are a musician, not a producer or sound designer, or you are doing both?
Actually both, yes.
Okay. So then I don't know if you were in the room when I was giving the response, but I think you should try to approach maybe one of the people here in Serbia who are kind of becoming distinguished professionals in that field. There is also a course at the SAE Academy that's run by Nikola Jeremic. That is, as far as I know, the only one, let's say, educational format that you can attend for this. And I mean, then you can look into joining a team of a studio that works on this type of jobs, or doing an internship. I also have some, musician friends who are sometimes working for theater. I mean, they have their bands and so on, but they work for theater scores or film scores, or when a studio is working on a radio commercial or TV commercial, they invite them to play a part or something. So this called applied music domain. So yeah, I don't know if I could add anything more specific outside of that, but I believe being just, I mean, don't get this wrong, not just a musician in relation to music, to gaming industry, I doubt that you can have support yourself just from being an instrumentalist that works for this. So it can, I think, be one of the avenues that you are working in.
Thank you.
And with sound design, you can, of course, get involved deeper.
Do we have more questions? Yeah, one more.
I think I was never at a panel with this many questions.
Yeah,
I have to
love it.
I have to
so
really
good.
say it's amazing.
Thank you for that.
Hello?
Good.
Okay. So you mentioned studies in world literature here. I graduated in world literature, and this year I finished I got my master's degree in France, thanks to the scholarship I was granted, and the master's degree is actually in literature and creative writing. So naturally I'm interested in narratives and writing fiction. So I was wondering, since I never published anything, and my portfolio is actually not public, how would I go about finding in the creative writing sector some job or?
You mean in gaming? Or
yeah, in gaming, of course.
Okay. Well, I would say one opportunity will hopefully come next spring when we do a second cycle of our Playing Narratives program. But then also Nordea's Hub had, I think, this year a game design bootcamp, which is kind of, okay, in gaming, I guess, narrative design and game design are also, they are sometimes together, sometimes separated, depends which is the level of detail. But I think you should also publicize something online. It's now pretty easy to do. Maybe it's a good challenge for you also to create your own portfolio, to be a bit selective, or you can make yourself a narrative design challenge, or something like this. Yeah, so that would be my response. There are other also things that don't need to be specifically related to, let's say, developing a game. We were just with our Playing Narratives group visiting a studio, VFX studio, that produces trailers for AAA games, mostly for international clients. And one of the guys from this group, who is a creative writer, he seems to be landing a job there soon. Because also for the production of trailers, you need the scripting, the design of the narrative, and so on and so on.
Yeah. I just wanted to add on the question, if that's okay, or the previous question. Okay, no, then go. Sorry, I wanted.
just to add something, an input, and to make the connection with what you were talking about entertainment, and also the question of academy and humanities. I would like just to add that in France, at least, there is a new trend regarding gaming and games, new games and serious games, working on questions of fake news, for instance. Newspapers are developing some projects, I guess maybe Mediapart is one of them, on fake news and how gaming could be something to get awareness about this and some topics, or like environment and also gender equalities and so on. So this is also something that you can think on and share with your colleagues, your friends, and maybe give some projects on it. That's it.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I just wanted to also add on the question that there's always a lot of jobs for narrative designers and for game designers in general, for script writing as well, because we need a lot of that in games, especially AAA games. There are a lot of AAA games that are heavily narrative driven, so you should definitely pursue that. There's a huge pool of jobs for that. I also want to encourage you to publish something online, because I think it would be mostly beneficial for you to kind of let it go.
It's in progress.
Yeah, you should definitely do that. Regarding the job itself, you would always have like a test when applying to write something, so that should be enough. You don't need to have a portfolio per se, but it will definitely be helpful.
Cool.
And additionally, if you want, I could make a connection with a friend of mine who's a narrative designer, who can maybe tell you a little bit more about the job from the inside.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I would add again, like related to the sound design, we have a couple of, on SGA's YouTube, we have a couple of entire lectures recorded from the Playing Artist program, and some of them are by French experts on narrative design in general, on branching narratives, on combining narrative with gameplay, and so on. So I think also exploring all these kind of learning resources online is really helpful. And also just to use the opportunity, because I forgot to mention it, although I handed out some stickers, SGA is also running a jobs platform basically on its as part of its website. So our aim is directly from our members, from the companies, but also aggregating job ads from maybe even Institut, all the other portals. Just our aim is to have all the jobs in Serbia that are related to gaming in one place. So if you're looking for a job and you know it's in gaming, this is where you will go. If you're a programmer and you're looking for a job, you will go to Institut and maybe find different options. So we are constantly updating this. There's usually around 100 jobs open at any time, and these are all sorts of jobs, and you can search them by categories and so on. So because a lot of the times maybe you will kind of, even if you're inexperienced maybe, but you have some, you know, potential and qualities, a company will recognize that, and within months you will become a narrative designer, or, you know. So I think this learning path is very fast when you enter actually a project or a company and get a mentor there and so on. So don't hesitate to apply for jobs, basically. Yeah.
I would just like also to encourage you to publish something online. Why? Because I just arrived from one of the biggest tech summits in the world, and like at the central stage, the most popular people in this field speaking for, like, I think 20,000 people about that creative writing is really skill for the future. So you should really be empowered to know that you have one skill which is very demanded, and just go ahead and do that.
And especially with how we get in the few years, the way we have to write for AR and VR experience. How do you write for? It's the same for some designers. Sound design in VR experiences. It's very fascinating, and tomorrow morning when we have all those metaverses, how to create new experiences and what we don't. I don't know what it will be really, but this dream of metaverse, how to create experiences, how to write experiences in this new environment.
Lots of new jobs are coming.
Are there companies in Serbia? Are there companies in Serbia producing serious games? Do you know?
What do you mean by serious games?
It's a real debate. What's a serious game?
Games,
okay.
This kind of independent games on serious topics, meaning.
That's still a game.
Yes, it's a game, but it's funny, but it's on serious topics.
For example, I just know because I was in contact with them just yesterday. There is a startup that is, for example, developing a system for patients of multiple sclerosis to practice, their muscles and their limbs and so on. That is completely based on games. For example, so it's kind of a gamification of that process. So for these patients who need to do these exercises every single day, they want to create games which will, push them to not get bored by doing the exercises because it's essential for their well-being. So that is just one example I can name now, and it's a nice coincidence because I just met them these days. I'm sure there are some others, and generally we did not mention this for the students just to be aware of that this so-called serious games niche is also huge. So it's games that are not intended for pure entertainment, but they find their application in education, in training. For example, I don't know, companies that work with oil platforms or something like this, they create VR games or experiences for their staff so that they can practice it, here and not travel to the middle of the ocean 10 times. And lots of different simulations, for different professions, and so on. So gaming companies are also working in this field quite a bit, actually. And also another part of serious games is when you want to address some, let's say, socially relevant topics or, have a problem-solving approach. That is not just about having a casual game as a kill time. So the scope is really incredibly diverse of the industry at large.
And all the UX, UI skills we have in the game industry is now arriving in other industry. For example, the new car you buy today, the cockpit is a real video game in the way the design is done. And they hire people from game companies to come to the automotive industry to create these new interfaces. And what we will do in a car that we will not drive anymore. So which experience we will have inside. So Ubisoft works with Renault and Mitsubishi, Nissan, especially to create experiences inside cars that you want to drive.
I just want to say something because first of all, thank you to everybody. Voilà, very important. it's good because with the team we have an idea, we put on the paper, and then we create this, and we really like the energy. Of course, the topic is cool. So it's easy to meet, when cool people meet cool students, there is energy. Next event we'll organize will be on engineering for digital industry, food, sustainable construction. So please feel free to say to your friend, student or not, but mainly students, that we'll organize thematic event in 2022 on these 3 topics. Please promote it. Then I have the feeling that if we don't stop, we can continue until 4, which is very good, very good. I will really appreciate if we can have this like intimacy between some of you, some of the speakers who are already mainly your mentor. To be honest, when we see the energy, the exchange, the question you have, there is something which is already created thanks to you guys. Thank you very much. I mean, guys, you know this expression, right? Don't look at me like that, and you neither. And Catherine neither too.
Be careful.
Yes, but okay. The crew. Let's say. Focus, yes. Yes, super. Focus, okay. And big thanks to Maya and to the team of Tempus for your help for that. Just to let you know that it will be published on the French Institute channel, so you can receive it, you can spread it to your friend, to your the best student like me were not able to wake up on Friday morning because they were on party on Thursday, for example. Really, it will be very important if we can use the last 30 minutes we have to have this direct contact and individual contact. Just to let you know that there is Tempus Foundation for information on how you can use Erasmus program to go to France for study, for the first year of studies after what you did or what you do already in Serbia. There is Sandra behind. She can also give you answer about the study in France, global study in France. And this is Vesna, and Vesna, she's dealing with the scholarship for Master 2 mainly. So they are like in Master 1, but you want Master 1. Yes. So we can definitely, we're at your disposal to exchange with you. And then I will the floor to Milica to...
You said it all. You said it all. Thank you very much to everyone who visited, who asked questions. Thank you to the panel. You really inspired me, and I'm sure you transfer that to the audience. So let's enjoy some coffee and cookies and reach out. Don't shy away from reaching out to these guys, to me as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Milica. You were amazing, and now use your time to network.